Hey everybody, welcome to Garrett's Games at Essen 2025. We are getting a chance to play some of these games for the first time and really having a great time doing so. Today is Wednesday. We had our media day today, and we also roamed the halls, talked to a few people, and we were able to get a preview copy of Pyradice. This is, or Pyradice, probably should say, because it's pyramid, right?
Pyramid.
This is from MEBO Games and Arcane Wonders. It is for 2 players, but you can play it for 3 or 4 if you had 2 copies of it, as you'll see when we're talking about the demo here. It plays in, and let's see, what is the box says, and the box doesn't have it on here. It plays in about 20 to 30 minutes, but it's a good think because of the ways in which that you've got some stuff of the choices in the dice that you've got here, right? I mean, you would have to say, right? I mean, you're looking at the limited, sometimes, choices that you've got. You're trying to score for the various rows in the pyramid that you are creating, as well as triggering actions that you've got based on, row 2 through the top. Before we get going, though, remember, subscribe to this video series. We've got a long-running video series. By the way, I'm Doug.
And I'm Shelley.
And we are a long-running audio series. We're a short-lived and hopefully long-lived video series here. And we're doing daily videos here, multiple sometimes, from Essen. I'm going to drop and have some of those videos from the media presentation that we had today, but we wanted to make sure that we got this one up because this is a really fun one. So
it's
we're going to
really fun.
So let's talk about Pyradice. Okay, so in Pyradice, we are 2 players. Now this is a game that can play 3 or 4 players if you have 2 copies of the game. So in the box, you get all of what you've got here. You each have a pyramid. You each then set the board exactly the same. You have these 5 actions that you can take, and they need to mirror on everybody's board. But they are double-sided, and of course they come out of these nice slots.
And they can go in any of these locations too, right? So you
Exactly.
Can
so it's going to change the way the game
Very
works.
much so.
Exactly.
Much so, yeah.
Over here, these 5 slots are the scoring for that particular row. So for example, in the bottom row, you're going to have all of the dice of equal value in this particular game. Notice that mirrors over here. The pyramid that you roll, as you saw when I did the setup, you are rolling all but 1 of the dice is going to be in that pyramid. So you've got 12, I think, of each of the dice, and you're rolling them all, and you're placing them just randomly. Ooh, that one's there. Okay, and you can only take dice that are completely available. So for example, if I took this die here, this dice, the brown 4, now becomes available along with everything that is on the top row.
For the next player.
On the top level. Exactly, for the next player.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, one of the things you're thinking about. You're thinking about, what am I revealing for the next player?
Sure.
Each of the rows here that have the orange scoring next to them, if you're able to achieve these things, you can get 5 points per row. Along with that, and right now I'm going to flash on the screen the objective cards. And unfortunately, the copy that we had didn't have the objective cards in there. We're just borrowing this copy for tonight. We've played it a couple of times. Thank you, Gilles. Thank you, Luis.
Yes, definitely.
And so we just used the examples that were in the rules and did that a couple of times as we played. But there are 9 different objective cards which are dice color specific. And so you put these 4 tokens on those cards to determine, okay, well, in this case, the white die is going to have this objective, and so on and so forth. So you can see that in the list there, the picture that I took of the rule book, and you can see what some of those are. So for example, in the game that we had, the gray ones were worth more value if they were higher in the pyramid. The tan ones were worth 1, 2, or 3 points if you had a 4, a 5, or a 6, right? The brown ones, you needed to have isolated pairs, either orthogonally or diagonally connected. As if there were 3 in that, you didn't get any points, but you got 4 points for every isolated pair. And then the white ones, it was however many you had of that particular one in an ascending order. So I think all the way up to 7 gave you a certain number of points.
And then 3 more points.
Right, 3 more points if you got
past that,
beyond
right?
that. Exactly. So those are some of the things that you're paying attention to. Not only those objective cards, but how the dice that you are drafting are going to fit into the game. So for example, let's look at some of these actions. When you place a die in this row, for example, you can turn any other die, not the one you just placed, but any other die to its flip side. Turn it over 180 degrees. All right. This one would be really nice to have on a low row because we had it on the very upper row in the game we played when this was in. This is, you could turn any other die to any value. All right.
Yeah, that's
so
a great one, yeah.
that would be great if, like, you know, I'm trying to get all equals across here, all the same die value across here, and I might not have gotten that. This one is to re-roll a die and put it back in the exact same spot. This one is to switch 2 dice from 2 different positions in your pyramid. And this one is to +1 or -1 on a die value. Again, always other dice, not the die that you are currently placing, but other dice, all right? And over here, scoring, for example, this one's, as we said, all 5 would have to be the exact same value. This one's kind of fun. It's, okay, here's this value, and then this one has to be plus or minus from that one. This one has to be plus or minus from the one before it, and so on and so forth. So you can go up and down, or you can go up, 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 depending upon what you have for your scores. Here, only 4 or 6 would make this row score. This would be evens, and this one has to be higher than this one. If it was down here, it would be high, and it has to be consecutive and so this would be a, you know, 6 and a 5. It couldn't be 6 and 4 to score. No, it has to be consecutive, and then of course that one doesn't score. So that's what you're doing. You're drafting the dice each round, and you're placing in there, triggering the actions if you have them. And you don't have to trigger the actions, but those are available. And then you have a nice little cheat sheet for every single thing that you've got there, and you're going along and making sure that you're drafting this dice. And that is how Pyradice works. All right, so as I always ask at this time in all of these, so what did you think of this one, hon?
It's really fun. It's incredible the differences that it can make with the different scoring opportunities.
I love
the pyramid. I mean, you're trying to not uncover things the other person's going to need, but that you might not. You know, it's just,
I love. They thought about a lot of things. I mean, the inlaid board here for
really
everything.
helps, yeah.
I love the fact that this can be randomized and is double-sided, so the actions and the scoring it changes, but everybody has the same one in each board here, right? And you know, you're not limited. One of the things we didn't talk about in the playthrough, you're not limited to placing in any particular spot. You can, as long as there are 2 dice below, you can place above, right? But I don't have to do that. I could place over here on one side and then all the way over here on the other side. But of course, I want to try to make sure that I have as many options in my placing based on what I want to achieve with the scoring as much as possible.
So if you do a horizontal row, you get 5 points per row.
5 points per row if you achieve the goal.
Perfect, and it wouldn't. When you put them in initially, they won't be perfect. You have to use your special powers.
Exactly. I mean, we had some really interesting. I had a really cool situation where the plus or minus 1 was in a row of 3.
That's a great one.
And so I took a 3. And then I took another 3, and then you manipulate the one that is any other one that is not there. So I placed another 3 and turned that to a 2, and then I took as a 2 and placed that, turned the 3 to a 2, and I was able to achieve this one, which was in that row of 3, which is everything has to be equal. It's kind of cool to think about that logic puzzle of what can I do to use those actions to get that scoring that I've got.
Yeah, this one wants to have only even numbers.
Even numbers,
and sometimes there's only odd numbers available.
Exactly.
And so you're going to have to put the wrong thing there and then manipulate it later.
Exactly. So you're thinking about that. You're looking at each other's boards and saying, "Oh, I don't want to give that. I don't want to make sure that I reveal
because you're
something."
going for the same things, right?
Exactly.
So, but when you're also seeing your dice, you're also trying to balance. Well, maybe you can't accomplish that goal, but maybe you can accomplish one of the goals from the cards.
Right, exactly.
Or, make that pay off more.
Right, so you've got those 4 objective cards. We only showed you 4 of them, and those were the only 4 we used. There are 9 in the game.
Right.
And of course, I love the mix and match bit. It's a nice small box game, 2-player only, but can be expanded all the way up to 4 if you have 2 copies of the game. So again, this is Pyradice from MEBO Games and Arcane Wonders for 2 players with 1 copy or up to 4 players with 2 copies of the game. Really solid, interesting dice drafting game where you're trying to hit your scoring. All right. That'll do it for this week. Remember, not this week, that'll do it for today. Remember, you can support the podcast by going to patreon.com/GarrettsGames or down in the show notes, check out the extensive list of games that no longer fit on our shelves, but belong on your table. Have a great time. We will see you minutes from now, I am sure. There are other videos out there that we've got. We've already released a couple. Check them out and tell your friends. Have a great one. We'll see you later. Bye.